What's up, everybody? This is Rabid Hedgehog. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Law Tigers of Oklahoma, AGVSportUSA, and AMSOIL. We want to thank them for helping us provide funds for gear, equipment, and everything to help film what we do, and also keeping our bikes protected and the riders protected. Check out the description below for contact details.
What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog, and once again, welcome back to the back of the 2019 FTR 1200S race replica that I call my own. I know, I do many videos on the race replica. I do many videos on all the FTRs. I have a thing for the FTR. Ended up getting this one back in March. It's 6 months now. And if you notice, 4,141 miles have been placed on this machine here. And I know, some people will say, that's not very much. I thought you rode all the time. And that you have always rode in the rain, which I'm trying to outrun, and you have always done this and done that. Well, yes, that is true, but you got to remember there's a 1 in 4 chance that this is the motorcycle that's going to leave the garage that morning. So it gets traded around a few times, and I didn't have it during the first few parts of the months of the year, and therefore I did not put all that mileage on this one as I have now. So therefore, overall this year so far, and we're only in September, I have 13,000 and some change on motorcycles and mileage, mostly commuting and riding around and doing things and just playing around. And I know the videos haven't been done as much as I would like, but with it being the year that it is and hardly anything out there anymore for people to purchase and test ride and do other things, there's just been some limitations that keep me from being able to get out there and ride the rides that I want to do for everybody and do the reviews and all that fun stuff. But let's talk about 6 months of ownership and being an owner of an FTR. Not just the week long, not just a couple of weeks long, not just a couple of thousand miles or a couple hundred miles or even 20 miles. We're talking the full 4,142 now miles on this machine here. One thing I would like to make sure to note is that this Indian has been slightly modified. In terms of the engine and tuning and all that stuff, it has remained stock and out of the gate. There is no power commanders or visions or anything like that under the seat. Changing anything in the ECU, I have left it as stock. The suspension is stock. The only thing's not stock is the fact that I added the rear rack for the tail bag, which is on there, and also the messenger bag and its rack, and this handy rally bar versus the little bit lower standard bar, which I prefer the way the rally bar picks you up and helps you ride this machine. And this is a fantastically comfortable machine when it's got the rally bar on it. I will say that with the conventional bar on it, it's just a little bit too low for my liking, especially on a long trip. I took it out for 4 hours with the actual original bar set before I put this bar set on there, and I will say that the wrist did start getting a little tired here and there because you do put a little bit more weight on them at that point. However, whenever you're sitting on this machine with the rally bar, it is a better difference. It just makes everything nice and straight. There's, as you can see, absolutely no weight whatsoever put on those wrists because it brings them level, and that makes for a nice, comfortable, long-range ride and a great commuter. And that's what I do a lot of with this machine. Whenever I got promoted and transferred to the other branch, same company and everything like that, just promotion and all that good stuff, I ended up going from having maybe an 8-mile trip to work to a 25-mile one-way trip to work, and doing about 50 miles or so a day just to make it around town and do everything that I need to do. So this motorcycle gets to see a lot of commuting, and especially this kind of commuting. It's a mix. I work in downtown Oklahoma City, so there's a lot of stop and go, and then there is this long highway jaunt back up to where I'm from to get home and relax and all that good stuff. So seeing that this is the best way to do it, This is one of 3 machines that can actually do it at the highway speeds. The Van will normally stay home unless I'm going into town and doing some short-end travel and stuff like that. Whereas the other 3, the Moto Guzzi V7, the CX500, and this one, take care of this kind of duty right here that you see today. And I have to say, with the broken roads of Oklahoma, with everything that we have here, this thing is comfortable. The suspension has been fantastic. It hasn't really developed any sort of sagging or anything like that to be concerned with after holding my weight for several months, taking the bounces and the punishment that it does on these roads. It just maintains a very balanced ride. And it's because I'm able to tune everything. That's the greatest part. Having a motorcycle this long and being able to do the rebound and the spring rate and everything on it and the preloads, front and rear, you can tune this thing in to be exactly like you want it. And this thing is perfect to go anywhere. I have it perfect for diving around town here. I have it perfect for going to the track and playing with it. Yes, I do take this to the track. It's been in track mode. It's had the ABS and the traction control and all that off to play with. It has had a fun life, and I have had a great and fantastic time riding it for the last 6 months. And I don't plan on getting rid of this motorcycle for a very, very long time. And I know I have said that about several different machines, but in this case, I truly mean it, because having the Bagger, the Chieftain, was just a little bit too slow for me. Best way to say it. Too not able to do the way I like to ride, touching down components and stuff too quickly. Whereas this one, having over 40 degrees of lean angle and to get into the turns, even on a nice twisty road, which I know is hardly ever seen on my channel, but playing on the track that I get to play on and playing in some of the roads that I'm able to do that I don't bring cameras on, and I'm just riding with friends or family or something like that, this machine is an absolute riot on those kind of roads and an absolute fantastic ride. Now, I will say that as being an owner, you do know the attitude of the machine that you have, and this one is full of attitude and character. And it is something that you have to think about as a person. What are you willing to put up with? Hi, Popo. It is, how are you going to deal with it in the morning, on a colder morning, or how are you going to deal with it on a hotter afternoon and all that? I look at it that way. And also, how far are you wanting to go? If you live in an urban area and you plan on riding to and from work and everything like that, this is perfect to do that. There's gas stations everywhere. You'll always be able to find a place to stop and top her off and run away again. Whereas you got to think about it a little bit more when you're out and away from the city and away from towns and things like that. So you have to kind of plan your trips around the fuel mileage on this machine and how far that fuel tank can get you. From what it normally does, you will see it say, I need fuel at around 100 miles to 110, maybe 120, depending on how you ride it. Since I ride a lot of mixed conditions, I have seen anywhere from 36 miles per gallon up to 42 miles per gallon, and that is actually mixed. Straight highway riding where I don't have any stop and goes to deal with, I have managed to eke out 44 miles per gallon on this machine, and I will say that that is where you're going to get your maximum fuel range of maybe 136 to 140, getting that 44 to the gallon out of the 3.5 gallon gas tank back there. Just note that you're going to really, really need fuel right when you hit that range, because you're putting in 3.2, 3.3 gallons out of a 3.5 gallon gas tank. So you don't have very much room to play with when you're doing that. And that is kind of a sad deal, because this machine is a joy to ride and ride and ride. Especially if you don't have a passenger, especially if you're a solo rider 90% of the time or more. And I will say, you can carry a passenger in a pinch, just know they're not going to be comfortable, and you're not going to be as happy because you want to get to slinging this thing around, and they're not going to want to be there with you when you're doing it. So, like I said, maybe get a better passenger seat for it. We have tested some others for it, and I do plan on updating the seat on this as kind of the last modification. But other than that, I don't plan on really doing much after that. Now, when it comes down to the performance and everything like that, This is not the fastest machine in the world. No, not at all. Thanks, buddy. You could have waited, or you could have figured that out, or slowed down and got behind me, not just cut me off. Anyway, so this is, I know, not the fastest machine in the world. I know this is not going to set any world speed records or track records or anything like that. Not in stock form. But that's where this machine really does shine. It is not the highest displacement motorcycle. It is not the lowest displacement motorcycle. It makes 123 to 25 horsepower. It makes about 87 foot-pounds of torque. So now even the new Harley Revolution engines are starting to come into play and be a little bit more powerful. But it weighs 490 pounds. It has a good weight distribution. And this thing is one of the best, finest balanced machines in terms of how the weight is held, where it's held in the motorcycle, and how planted it is at all times. I have not found anything that really upsets the balance or the ride of this machine, no matter the potholes or no matter the traction problems or anything like that. I just haven't found anything like rain or anything, and I'm running stock tires. I'm running everything that people complain about, that they hit road gullies and rain stuff, and I just don't feel this thing ever get upset by anything. Just hold on to the bars and let it ride, and this thing will ride. It is on its rails as much as anything I have ever been on, and that is a fantastic chassis. And I even have to say that I like the balance of this one a little bit better than the newer 2022 one, just for the sheer fact that I don't mind having the taller suspension, a little bit taller seat height at 33 inches over the 31. You know, I don't mind having those niceties, in my opinion, because it's something to be comfortable on and having the ability to do some mild off-road and some other things. Whereas you take that away from the new one, and you take some of that, you take some of the character away, some of the uniqueness of this machine. And that is the biggest part of this, is just how unique the 2019 one is. Having the 19-inch front and the flat track style tires with the 18-inch rear on it, and not the 17-inchers that are now on the new ones. And just the way it sits, the way it feels, the way it rides, the character of the startup sequence whenever it's cold. Yeah, I know. People want to just get off, hit, and run. But what does it matter to wait about 3-4 minutes for this thing to heat up to 110 degrees and then take off from there? Or if you really want it to be smooth out, being an owner, I've learned this, 140 is absolute, just the perfect. Get that thing up to that temperature, and it will run between 140 and 173, as you see now, just as pitch perfect as possible. And the engine is just a smooth and wonderfully characteristic engine. The power is everywhere in it. A little bit of hesitation right off the start, but then it's just everywhere after that. So mid to high, it's just fantastic. And for commuting and everything, it just works out really, really well. When it comes to the power modes and everything that's on it, really this machine has only stayed in, as you can see, sport mode and rain mode. Whenever it's raining, I will put it in rain mode, but for the most part, I will only put it in rain mode if the roads are slick. So right at the beginning of the rain. If it has been raining for a little bit, I don't mind leaving it in sport mode, because this thing has traction for days. The traction control systems are really good on it. The IMU is fantastic. Everything is under control. Everything feels right, even with the rain mode off in the rain. But like I said, if it's a little bit slicker, or if I'm playing around on some soft dirt and doing some other things where I have taken this machine before, I do not mind putting it in rain mode to do that. But standard mode, I don't even see a need for standard mode. I really don't. I just keep it where it is, and I just enjoy the pep and the step and everything like that. And like I said, I know that this is not the greatest machine ever designed. I know that it is not the fastest machine ever designed. I know there are many things faster than it, but there's also many things slower than this machine. And the greatest part about that is this bike is one of those best realities you can also have. You have enough power, performance, and everything to get in trouble, to have fun, to go out on a fantastic, exciting, and exhilarating ride, but you also have this very calm demeanor to it that just levels out into a beautiful cruising machine, where it's just a beautiful ride smooth. Everything is just easy to use. You do have to get used to the clutch as a new owner, how fast it responds into the friction zone and how it wants to just jump off the line real quickly. But then once you get used to it, it all just starts to just become part of you. Every little movement that you do, the motorcycle responds to it. You can move your hips, as you can see. You can twist the bars there, as you can see. And it just moves and moves with you. And it moves your soul. And it just does it all so well. It's just probably, to me, the best motorcycle for my character and my person that I've ever been on. And the way I ride really is mostly just commuting, just cruising, not getting anywhere in a hurry. I just like enjoying what's around me, and every once in a while tackling some stuff at a hilarious rate of speed. And this machine being right on that precipice of being just dead on perfect in the middle where it needs to be. There's a whole lot of skill that you need to ride it, but there's also not. That's how good it is. You can just ride this machine at all levels, and it's going to reward you in every way. And as you get better, as you progress as a motorcyclist and as a rider, as you learn how this thing actually handles itself, and you're not afraid of it anymore, it keeps rewarding you with more surprises on what it can do. And that is hard to say for a lot of different motorcycles out there. I mean, the thing is I need a machine kind of like this that I can have a hooligan style lifestyle on it if I want to, but then I can cruise on it if I want to. But I also still need the one that I can just cruise on for long distances. And having a bagger, you can't do the hooliganism, you can't have the fun, you can't do that. And on the Moto Guzzi, you can't have as much hooliganism, but you can have even further range than the bagger, further range than the Chieftain, further range than even the MGX21, because it gets fantastic fuel mileage with a 5.5 gallon gas tank, and it's comfortable and it's wonderful, but it only has about 37-ish, maybe less degrees of lean angle that it gets to work with. And because of that, you know, it's not a track monster. It's not something that can go out there and just absolutely terrorize you into having fun like this one can. It's there to just cruise and forget about all of life's problems, whereas this one can do all of that, just not at the distance needed. And that is where I have found this balance in my life of having the FTR and having the Moto Guzzi V7 at the same time, to have the hilariously fun, exciting, stupid fast, but not that fast, awesome turning, balanced, easy riding, easy going machine that we have here today. And I mean, I find myself not really using the ride command. I find myself just enjoying the ride and not even needing the music, not even needing anything like that. It's a soul toucher. You don't need the rest of it to distract you from the ride. And I mean, I remember riding the Chieftain and always having music playing and goofing off and doing that. But this here makes me just want to have everything shut up around me so I can focus on what it's doing in the ride and enjoy what it has to offer. And I haven't been able to say that about a lot of machines that I've owned. And this one here just is capable of doing that. It's been trouble-free. There's quite a bit of distance that this thing can go on oil changes. Of course, there's some chassis changes and some other, or not chassis changes, I should say, but chassis inspections and stuff like that that'll need to occur, you know, every about 2,500 miles or so. And so that means 5,000 miles it'll be on the stand with the chain being looked at, chassis parts being looked at, everything being, you know, being looked over and everything like that, and oil levels and all that fun stuff. Of course, I check that every day anyway, but it's just one of those things of fairly maintenance free. It's been absolutely trouble-free. I've never even had a trouble code on it at all. It gets up, it rides. Like I said, I like to give it that warm-up period and everything like that during the morning. And in doing so, that does alleviate some stuff. I remember when I did the week-long review of the FTR, I had it throw 2 trouble codes at me for misfire, which is a common occurrence in this particular model year. And that is because the head design, like I said, where the fuel injection is and everything like that, it has to be warmed up just right, or it doesn't act right, and it can misfire. It can shoot the gasoline in the wrong spot at the wrong time and cause a little bit of an issue. But, you know, if you get it warmed up and ready, it doesn't ever do that again. The fueling on this thing is absolutely perfect. The transmission has settled into this even more glass smooth transmission than I ever could have imagined. It shifts really well. Downshifts are crisp, the upshifts are very crisp as well. You know, so if you're coming up and you got somebody slowing down in front of you, you just blip that throttle, get that downshift in, and it's just crisp and responsive. And just this thing just, honestly, as you get used to it, you literally just become one with it, and it becomes one with you. And you become capable of just doing so much on it without much thought. It is a machine that, once you take it up to its limits, it requires a whole lot of thought, but if you're just cruising on it, it rewards you in that way too, of just being an easy to ride, hey, I'm here, I've got this for you, and you just go with it. And I really love the cruise control on it. The functionality of all the buttons and everything, all the ergonomics are just perfect. I haven't found anything that I have become angry at. Nighttime rides, the headlight is absolutely amazing. Probably one of the furthest seeing headlights I've ever seen stock. It's capable of seeing well over your 12-second mark if you're looking that far ahead or able to. I mean, it's been reliable where my other motorcycles, you know, I've had some issues with Sportsters where oil lights were coming on. I've had some issues with my Fat Bob where the chain tensioner on the primary gave up in only 1,300 miles. And, you know, it was making a lot of loud noises and other things because the tensioner got jammed or something stupid, some sort of factory defect. And, you know, with a first-year motorcycle, you expect more problems. You expect all these things, and in all reality, I haven't run into them. I haven't had any of those issues, and it just really is a sweet little machine. It even survived. I mean, the fit and finish is still really good. It survived an incident in my garage where I had a spontaneous ceiling collapse. My house was built over 40 years ago, so they just nailed in the stuff. And here in Oklahoma, we literally had below zero temperatures and below freezing temperatures in general, so below 0 Fahrenheit and below freezing temperatures for over 13 days in a row, and then suddenly heated up and suddenly cooled down and suddenly heated up there for a few days. And it simply just let go of the ceiling because the wood and everything and the nails just got let go, and it dented the tank on the Honda, which has been fixed. Thank you, Motorcycle Works, for that. And messed up the tank on the Moto Guzzi. Once again, thank you, Motorcycle Works, for fixing that. And broke the light bracket and turn signal off the van and did some things to it. I did all the repair work on the van since it didn't involve body work or anything like that. It was all mostly brackets and then bolt-on items and stuff that I could do, and electronics. That doesn't bother me. But this one took the brunt of it and almost laughed it off. There are some scuffs that probably will not even come through the GoPro, right through here and right through there, and maybe one scuff through there, and that is it. The fit and finish survived 60 pounds of sheetrock falling on top of it, whereas everything else broke. And I get it, there's plastic and stuff here, and it's an air box, and it's not a gas tank, and so it's different. It's not that way, so it probably wouldn't get as damaged. But what does it matter? the paint still survived even for the most part, whereas the others didn't even get close. And mirrors, everything else, I mean, it fell on the bar and the tank and everything didn't get bent up or damaged or anything. It held up really, really well. So I have to say I'm extremely impressed with it surviving that incident with as little damage as it did. It didn't suffer very much at all, just the scuffs. So it was the only motorcycle I had for about a month and a half, as the others were under repair. And I think it was during that time that I really started to meld into this machine more so than I had before, and it became a part of me. And I started to respect it a lot more. Now there are questions about heat. It is 88 degrees right now, and that's not a hot day or anything like that. And you can see it's 175 right there on the temperature as I'm coming to a halt to kind of do a little walk around to show you guys what it looks like now with the other stuff. But this machine here, go ahead and cut that off real quick. As you can see, I keep it relatively clean. There's lots of bugs on it, but when it comes to the heat, they did redesign the back cylinder on the 2022s to have engine cylinder deactivation there. And that way it can kind of cut off some of that heat and stuff that comes with this engine. And to be honest, I have felt some heat now, but I have to say that it is probably because of the night rod that it doesn't bother me. The night rod was so much hotter than this one. This one gets hot. Don't get me wrong. There's moments where if it's 100, we've had a 100-degree summer this year, and there's some times where once it gets to that 100-degree mark, it can get a little toasty when you're sitting in traffic. When you're moving, I don't really feel it, but sitting in traffic can get a little bit on the mostly inner left thigh for me. And it was simply just positioning myself. You can see, here's how you mount everything. You have to get these brackets, and this is kind of a sad reality as an owner. It's kind of like Harley. You have to buy a bracket for every bracket, so you have to get the accessory brackets first, then this bracket, then the bag, and then you can finally get it. And you can see the really nicely built. I mean, at least the components are really nicely built. The welds are strong and everything, and the back rack looks good. I actually really like the way those bags come out on this machine here. I mean, you can see that they do well. They're both waterproof too, which is cool. This one has all in the liner, and this one here, when you open it up, has kind of this zipper bag there, and you can see I've got some stuff in there, but you can put it all in there and zip it up, and it's now in the waterproof area. But rally bars give it that more distinct look. And yeah, anyway, about the heat, I have been on so much worse that if you get used to that, then it's not a big deal. And really, sitting in traffic is about the only time you really feel it. There is something funny about it. This is the gas tank right through here, and down through about through here basically. It kind of comes up, back around and down. The heat, the way this works, you can tell when it's running out of fuel. You can tell when it's about to turn the fuel light on. As your butt starts to get crispy through the seat, you know it's actually about to ask you for a fuel light, because the fuel does actually a pretty decent job of keeping the heat buildup from getting back here and around you. And that's why you don't feel it in motion until you really start to run out of fuel. And then it starts to creep up a little bit more, and that's where it gets kind of funny. That's just a weird note to say about it. But, I mean, for a motorcycle that has all the quirks that it has, and like I said, there's many motorcycles that are better. There's many motorcycles that are faster. But this one is just so darn perfect in the middle of all those. It has just been the most fantastic motorcycle, and I mean, I loved my CB1100, and I loved everything about it, and it just wasn't quite fast enough. It was, limited to 112, and mostly so the tires didn't fly apart on it whenever you got over that speed. But, you know, the suspension wasn't quite as good. Didn't have quite the travel or quite the seating position as this one, especially with the rally bar there. And I really like this. I really like that addition. That's my favorite addition to this whole thing, is putting that rally bar on there. I mean, I loved that CB1100. I loved my Chieftain. I loved all that, but it just didn't fit my character. It just didn't fit who I was and what I was about when I was riding. It fulfilled a need for the moment, and after that moment was over, it just became a chore to ride them. And that's really weird to say. But this has been, this one here has been by far the greatest companion of a motorcycle that I have ever been on. And I have to say that I don't think I would ever want to get rid of it unless something terrible happens to it. And I would hate for something terrible to happen to it. I would physically cry for hours if something killed it, because I don't think I could ever get another one like it. I know there's used ones out there, and I know that there's other machines, but this is the one that I broke in. This is the one that I literally got out of the crate, and it had nothing on it when I got it. Every single mile except for the first couple. Every single mile is mine. Every memory on this machine is mine. And it and I have bonded in a way that no other machine has. And I know that there's a lot of other motorcycles out there and a lot of people that will hate this machine because they don't want to deal with the quirks and the weirdness that it has. But to those who put in the effort and really try and really, really get out there and ride this machine and understand it, will find that it is one of the best motorcycles, one of the most fantastic looking, gets a lot of attention. I get a lot of comments on it, a lot of people talking to me about it. It brings in people. And you know what? I wouldn't trade anything in this world for it. So at any rate, this is the Rabid Hedgehog, and if you have any more questions about the FTR1200S, any of the versions, because I've rode everything from 19s to 20s to 22s, you know, where the Rally was the only 20 model, I'm willing to talk about it because, my gosh, what a fantastic motorcycle. At any rate, keep that shiny side up, folks, and catch you on that next ride.
What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog. We once again want to thank you for watching our videos. Please like, share, subscribe today, and if you like what you see, mash that notification button so that way you get our latest videos and notifications live and on the spot. We also want to thank our dealership partners, Indian of Oklahoma City, House of Kawasaki, and Motive Cycle Works Moto Guzzi, who is also our motorcycle mechanic. We want to thank them for allowing us to ride their rides. We are not paid in by any way by any manufacturer or dealer. We just get to be madmen and women with opinions. We also want to reach out to our sponsors and thank them. We have Law Tigers Motorcycle Lawyers. These motorcycle lawyers are mostly nationwide and can be reached 24/7 at lawtigers.com or 1-888-868-0208. We also want to thank our newest sponsor for gear and the things that you see us wearing, AGVSportUSA. They are out of AGVSportUSA.com in Flower Mound, Texas. We also want to thank Doug Crawford and AMSOIL for protecting our machines with the latest in lubrication technologies. He can be found at usasynthetics.com or 405-388-6170. And also for Derek Enloe and Associates Insurance Company, he can be found at 405-261-1010. Once again, everybody, keep that shiny side up, and we'll catch you on the next ride.